Alabama, 2 seed in the East this season. 3 years ago, our own Avery Johnson led the Tide to their only tournament win in the last 15 years, thanks to the guy who just made that shot, Colin Sexton, who was amazing for Bama, great in the NBA. Bama beat Virginia Tech in the first round, 86-83. All right, let's bring him in. Avery Johnson, Mr. Do-It-All for us here on HQ, and you'll be seeing him in the first 4 coming up later this week on Thursday as well. Let's get a bracket breakdown from you, Avery, and let's start in the West region. It's the region with the #1 overall seed, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Avery has picked every game in the NCAA tournament, so we're going to roll through it with him, beginning with the top part of the bracket. Gonzaga taking on the winner of Norfolk State and App State. Obviously, Gonzaga winning that game. The 8-9 game, Oklahoma, Missouri. Can either one of those teams, Avery, the winner of that game, give Gonzaga a scare in the second round?
No, none of those teams can give Gonzaga a scare. Missouri, you know, I've been beating Oklahoma, but they'll be on the first flight out after that Gonzaga.
All right, let's move down to these Saturday games. Number 5, Creighton. This is going to be a sleek upset pick, especially after what we saw from Creighton against Georgetown in the Big East Championship game, getting blown out. Avery, upset. The Gauchos winning it.
Yeah, upset alert here. The Gauchos, they're sneaky good. Watched them play a couple of times this year. Got some, quality depth. So I have them beating Creighton. I think Creighton is still going to be a tough game, but with the coach getting suspended and just being distracted, didn't play that well in the Big East tournament. So I got UC Santa Barbara upsetting Creighton.
And you've got another upset coming in the 4-13 game. Ohio beating Virginia, still currently the defending national champs, but that'll set up a 12 versus 13 matchup in the second round. More on that in a moment. Let's slide down. Matt Norlander thinks USC may eventually pose the biggest threat to Gonzaga in this region. You've got USC advancing past the winner of Wichita State and Drake. Kansas is a big question mark with the COVID concerns, but you have them beating Eastern Washington. Down to the bottom, Iowa is the 2 seed there. Oregon, VCU. Interesting matchup. You have VCU advancing, and you have Iowa beating Grand Canyon. So let's go back and pick our way into the Sweet 16 here in Avery Johnson's bracket in the West region. Gonzaga the favorite to win the whole thing, and if you want to have a chance late, you're probably going to pick Gonzaga to win it all, but you're not going to get a lot of value. If you're behind, you're fighting from behind late in the bracket season on CBSSports.com/bracket, you're going to want to pick somebody else. Avery, how about the Bobcats and the Gauchos and Ohio, the 13 seed, going to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, sneaky good team. They got a kid, the point guard Preston, on that team. He's an NBA player. And, you got dominant point guard play. That can help catapult you, even further. So I have the Gauchos sneaking into the Sweet 16. Okay, to the bottom part of the region, USC Kansas. That would be an interesting game. And Avery, so many concerns with the Kansas COVID situation. You've got USC moving on. Yeah, USC moving on. Lottery pick, the big fella inside. So I got USC moving on in that game. Okay. They did a really nice job in their conference play. And that would set up a matchup between USC and Iowa, as you have Luka Garza and the Hawkeyes beating VCU. So we've got it set here for the regional championships. Gonzaga getting past Ohio and Iowa beating USC. And so it's Gonzaga and Iowa for the regional championship. The Zags played Iowa earlier in the season, Avery. I know you watched that game, and they led by double figures for much of that game. Yeah, they did. And Iowa didn't shoot the ball nearly as well from the three-point line, but Gonzaga, they're just too deep. Suggs, just point guard play, well coached. I think this is a little bit of a pick'em game, believe it or not. But I'm going with the Zags.
Okay, and I know our Tim Doyle likes Iowa in that game. We're going to pick the Final Four in just a minute, but let's go down to the East region as Avery Johnson has already filled out his bracket, and we're revealing it for you here on HQ. Michigan is the 1 seed. Livers with the injury there, but they're going to advance past the winner of the 16 versus 16 matchup in the first 4. And then LSU beating a St. Bonaventure team that could, boy, they could be trouble in the tournament. You got LSU winning, but the Bonnies could be an issue. Then Georgetown, you've got Patrick Ewing on a roll, Avery.
Yeah, they didn't recognize Patrick Ewing in Madison Square Garden, but they will recognize him in his first round game upset. Here's another 12-5 upset, and I got Georgetown advancing past Colorado.
Yeah, how about that, from MSG to Hinkle Fieldhouse, and then Florida State beating UNC Greensboro to advance there. Down to the bottom half of the East region, Michigan State, an 11 seed. They barely got in. Avery has Tom Izzo advancing past BYU. And then Texas? Yes, Texas past Abilene Christian to set up a matchup between Michigan State and Texas. All right, 7-10, UConn against Maryland. The Huskies advancing, and Nate Oates and Alabama advancing as well. So let's go back to the top of the bracket. Michigan, LSU, 1 versus 8. Do the Wolverines have enough to pull it off? Avery says yes there. Florida State ending Patrick Ewing's Cinderella run. They advance into the Sweet 16. To the bottom half of the bracket we go. Michigan State, Texas, juicy matchup there. Shaka Smart's team continuing to roll according to Avery Johnson. Texas to the Sweet 16 to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. So it's chalk so far for Avery Johnson in the East. How about the matchup between Michigan and Florida State?
Yeah, Florida State, this is where they really dominate in this matchup. You know, their average starting 5, the size is 6'6". They're tall and long. They can shoot it. Got multiple versatile players that can switch. Big guy inside. I like what Leonard Hamilton's doing with his team at this point.
And then Texas, Alabama, Shaka Smart moving on to set up a matchup between the 4 and the 3 for the East Region Championship. That's Avery Johnson's East Region. As he continues to pick things for us, he has Texas advancing to the Final Four out of the East. So he has Gonzaga winning the West, Texas winning the East, and wouldn't that be something for Shaka Smart, a guy who you could say was on the hot seat just a season ago, Avery?
Yeah, they were talking about firing Shaka Smart. You know, I live here in Dallas, and I was wondering, you know, give him another year. And fortunately, he was able to survive, and now he's really positioned himself to get a long-term extension. That's what I would do if I'm the administration and the athletic director and the board of regents for University of Texas. Shaka Smart's earned a long-term extension.
If he gets to the Final Four, that's definitely coming. So Avery Johnson has Texas and Gonzaga into the Final Four so far. Moving over to the South region, where Baylor is the #1 seed there, facing the Hartford Hawks at Lucas Oil Stadium on Friday. Baylor advancing. North Carolina past Wisconsin, one of those 18 Big Ten teams that have advanced to the NCAA tournament. So Baylor, North Carolina in the second round. This is going to be a popular pick here for Villanova to be upset, but Avery has Villanova beating Winthrop, a team that's only lost once this season, and Purdue getting past the Conference USA champion North Texas Mean Green. Texas Tech and Utah State going to be a popular 11 over a 6, but Avery likes Texas Tech to beat the Aggies. Arkansas, the 3 seed there against Colgate. That's going to be a really high-scoring game. Avery has Arkansas advancing to the bottom part of the bracket. Florida and Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech, and Va Tech advancing. Ohio State advancing past Oral Roberts. So let's take a look. You got Baylor, North Carolina for the right to go to the Sweet 16. Baylor advancing. Purdue and Villanova. Avery, this is where you have Villanova bowing out.
Yeah, this is where they're going to miss Gillespie. You know, he's out for the season with the knee injury, and they're going to sorely miss his leadership against a tough Purdue team.
Okay, then we have Texas Tech and Arkansas. You've got the Hogs advancing, and chalk as well in the other matchup, Ohio State past Virginia Tech. So it's chalk so far in this region for Avery Johnson. Baylor advancing to the Elite Eight past Purdue, and Ohio State setting up a matchup between 1 versus 2 there in that region. Avery, who do you like between Baylor and Ohio State?
I'm going with Baylor. Scott Drew has done a really nice job. I know they had a couple of tough losses late, but this is all about Jared Butler. This is the point guard for Baylor. This kid's been in the Player of the Year conversation all year. Their starting 5 is as good as any starting 5 in the country, not named Gonzaga, but I think Jared Butler leads his team into the Final Four. Okay,
so Baylor into the Final Four. We've got one more region to pick with Avery Johnson, who's picked every game, and that might be the toughest region of all. The committee did Illinois no favors as the 1 seed in the Midwest region, facing Drexel in the first round before they're really going to get a test in the second round. Illinois advancing past Drexel. Only 1 16 seed has ever won. Georgia Tech past Loyola Chicago. I think most people are going to pick Loyola Chicago in that one, Avery, but boy, Josh Pastner has Georgia Tech rolling, the ACC tournament champs.
Yeah, Josh, really impressive job. Here's another guy that was basically, potentially on the firing line. But he's been able to survive, had some difficulties, with some different allegations a couple of years back. But I love the way he's restored the program at an elite level at Georgia Tech.
And you also have Oregon State's Cinderella run ending to Tennessee in the 12-5 game there, and Oklahoma State getting past Liberty. To the bottom we go in the Midwest region. San Diego State, the 6th seed. Avery's seen them a lot. Mountain West Conference champions advancing to face West Virginia, who Avery has beating Morehead State. At the bottom, Rutgers to beat Clemson, and Houston, the 2 seed, over Cleveland State. This is the Midwest region. Let's go to the top. Illinois, really tough path, but Avery has them getting into the Sweet 16 past Georgia Tech and facing Oklahoma State in the Sweet 16. And an upset down here in the 6-3 game, Avery, Aztecs to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, love the Aztecs. Coach Dutcher, back-to-back Mountain West Coach of the Year. Deep team, experienced team, a team that could have very well went to the Final Four last year had the season not been canceled.
Yeah, that was going to be a 1 seed last year for San Diego State, more than likely. And Houston getting past Rutgers. This is how it looks. Illinois getting past Oklahoma State, setting up a matchup with number 2 Houston. Avery, is this where Illinois runs into issues?
Yeah, Illinois runs into issues against arguably, one of the top 2 or 3 best defensive teams in the country. They rebound, they're relentless. They're shooting the ball better. If, Houston makes a 3-point shot, they're going to be a hard out. Calvin Sampson just recently got an extension with Houston. He's really transformed this program. Giroux, the defensive player of the year in the American Athletic Conference. I really love this team. I love their toughness and their grit. Their game really travels, and I think they're tailor-made for a run to the Final Four.
Okay, so Avery Johnson has a couple of 1 seeds in Gonzaga and Baylor advancing to the Final Four, along with 2 seed Houston and 3 seed Texas. He had Gonzaga beating Iowa, Texas getting past Florida State, Baylor beating Ohio State, and Houston taking out Big Ten tournament champion Illinois. So in the Final Four, Gonzaga still haven't won a national championship. Neither has Texas. Matching up, who do you have in that one? Gonzaga, the Bulldogs, the number 1 overall seed to the national championship. And Houston, Kelvin Sampson to the championship game. So Avery, you've got Gonzaga against Houston, the West Coast Conference against the American Conference for the national championship.
Yeah, we haven't seen a run like this since the 1970s with Coach Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers team, and I think Gonzaga is going to match what they did in the 70s. I just love this team. This is the best two-way team in college basketball. They shoot it. They have size. I recruited Drew Timme when I was at Alabama, and I think I'm sitting here because he chose to go to Gonzaga and not Alabama. So I just really love their experience, size, toughness. They play a tough schedule, non-conference. I was really impressed with their win over Iowa. Thought they dominated that game, the entire game. So I just think this is a team that's going to be cutting down the nets in Indianapolis on April 5th.
Avery Johnson likes the Gonzaga Bulldogs to beat Houston in the national championship game, become the first team in 45 years to finish a season unbeaten. Indiana, the last team to do that in 76. Avery, thank you so much. Check out the Eye on College Basketball podcast, a brand new one today, reaction to the bracket and the COVID issues facing Kansas and Virginia in the NCAA tournament. Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander have you up to date. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.